That's right, it's that time of the year where Google has just announced their entire Pixel lineup for 2025. And that does include the new Pixel 10 phones, which look really nice, but more importantly for this channel, the new Pixel Watch 4, which despite looking very similar to the Pixel Watch 3 I'm holding now, actually has some important updates and might even be one of the biggest overhauls that they've done in a very long time. While I am holding a Pixel Watch 3 now, I was able to visit Google's New York City campus and go hands-on with these new products. So in this video, I just want to run through 14 of the new notable updates on this new release and what I think about them, because they are pretty surprising. A couple of them are really surprising. Before those 14 exciting things, a couple of the basics first. The new Pixel Watch 4 will come in the same two sizes as the Pixel Watch 3. There's going to be the smaller 41mm size, starting at the same price of $349 for the Wi-Fi only version, and that will go up to $449 for LTE. And then there's the 45mm option of the Pixel Watch 4 that will start at $399 for Wi-Fi and $499 for LTE, US pricing of course. And on top of these sizes, of course, there are a bunch of different colors to choose from obsidian black to moonstone and silver, with a whole bunch of band options and colors to choose from, and even some really high quality metal link bands as well, sold directly from Google. With the basics out of the way, let's get into those 14 new things I wanted to talk about, and the first one is going to be the design. Google claims that they've done a complete redesign of the Pixel Watch 4, which is kind of funny because when you look at the images I'm showing you, it looks a lot like the Pixel Watch 3 here. The Pixel Watch 4 though does have rounder edges. It sort of falls off quicker and it's more dome shaped and smooth all around, and it does actually feel a little bit slimmer on the wrist when you actually have it on. The new design also features more powerful haptics, so when you roll the little crown here, you can feel the clicks and engagement a little more obviously, and on top of that, of course, when you have notifications that come in, the vibration is a little bit stronger. Along with the vibrations, the new speaker in the Pixel Watch 4 is also significantly louder, and I was surprised by just how loud it was when I tested it out in person. So yes, it has been completely redesigned, and there's a number of things that come along with that design that we'll talk about in this video. But yeah, I mean, from the surface level, when you're looking at the website and you go to buy this thing, largely it looks like a Pixel Watch. It's not like totally different. Next up, I want to talk about the display, because again, that has seen a significant improvement, but again, it's not totally obvious from the B-roll I'm showing now. Google is calling the display of the Pixel Watch 4 the Actua 360 display, and there's a reason behind that 360 number there. You see, the display on the Pixel Watch 4 is actually dome-shaped, and the really interesting thing about this is not only is the glass dome-shaped, but the AMOLED display under that glass also has a dome shape to it. This is really hard to photograph and video in person. You'll just have to take my word for it. But what that domed display does is it looks like it's sort of like closer to the surface of the glass, if that makes sense. A lot of these watches, the display is like very obviously below the glass, where on the Pixel Watch 4, it almost seems like the text is on the surface of the glass because of that dome display underneath it. The only time you really see the dome display is like if you hold the watch on its side and kind of get your eye right up to it, but it is kind of a cool effect, and it does certainly make it feel a little bit more premium on the wrist. Again, this is not something you're gonna fully understand by watching this video or looking at pictures of this watch. You'll have to pick it up and look at it in person to really appreciate that new dome display, or the Actua 360. But on top of being domed, there's other improvements to the display. It's now 3000 nits of peak brightness, which is insanely bright. Again, I tested this indoors, so I didn't really notice the brightness level. It's a very bright display even indoors. The only time I noticed it is when I put it into flashlight mode when it was blindingly bright. But this will be really useful if you're out in direct sunlight and you're doing a run or an activity, or just checking the time of day or your notifications. You'll be able to read that a lot easier with 3000 nits. The Pixel Watch 4 screens are also larger on both the 41 and 45mm models, with 16% smaller bezels and 10% more screen real estate. Next up, and this one's pretty big, improved battery life and way faster fast charging. Google has re-engineered the battery, the chemistry, and the size to both charge faster and last longer on a single charge. And the specs here are quite impressive if you're used to this kind of smartwatch or like an Apple Watch or something like that. If you are coming from like a Garmin or a Coros or something like that, you're not going to be as impressed. But For what it's worth, the specs are pretty impressive. The Pixel Watch 4 gains 25% more battery life compared to the Pixel Watch 3. So the 41mm option will last you up to 30 hours of typical use, or 2 days in battery saver mode. In the 45mm option, the larger version will get you about 40 hours of typical use, or about 3 days in battery saver mode. Now, unfortunately, at the time of filming this video, Google does not have a spec for GPS on battery life with the Pixel Watch 4, and I couldn't seem to get that information out of the people I spoke with over at Google. So we'll have to wait and see how that shakes out when I put this through the test and give it a full rundown. On top of increased battery life, there's also new charging for the Pixel Watch 4. And the new charging dock actually feels great in the hand. It's got a little bit of weight and heft to it, so it doesn't like move around on your desk, and it also has a rubberized bottom to it as well, and all of the materials feel pretty premium. The new Pixel Watch 4 actually has two little pins on the side of the watch. I'll try to get a close-up of that now, that interface with the magnets on this new charging dock, and when you place the watch on it, it is very secure. Now, the best part of this new charging dock is that it is much faster charging than the previous charging puck from the back of the watch here. It'll give you up to 50% of your charge in just 15 minutes. This means you could like jump in the shower in the morning, and by the time you come out, you should be more than halfway charged with your watch, so you can get through the rest of the day. Okay, next up, and this is a really big one. I did not see this coming. Repairability. The new Pixel Watch 4 is the first smartwatch, to my knowledge, that is now repairable. When they redesigned the case and the display to the Pixel Watch 4, they had two considerations in mind when it came to repair. That was for the display and the battery, because those are the two things that are most often to fail. People either break their display or the battery just sort of degrades over time. Those two components can actually be easily accessed now without a collection of special tools. And at first, I thought this would mean you'd have to send your watch into Google for them to repair this, but it turns out they're actually user repairable, and I cannot believe I just said that. Google plans to sell replacement parts for their watches, the display, and the battery, and they will publish how-to manuals to repair your watch at home. They told me that the process was pretty simple. A couple of screws that are exposed on the side of the watch when you remove the band, and there's no adhesives or heat gun required. You can simply flip over the display, unplug the battery, and put a new one in. Kind of wild. But what really impressed me about this is that even though the watch doesn't have adhesives anymore and is now user repairable, it still retains the same IP68 and 5 atmosphere water resistance rating as the Pixel Watch 3. So you can still shower with it and swim with it and stuff, and it's now repairable. I am super interested to see how this unfolds. For example, if someone at home tries to repair their watch and they end up breaking it or something, how's that going to shake out? And I'm also wondering if other companies are going to follow what Google has set the path for. Like, will Apple now make a repairable watch? Will Garmin make a repairable watch? Next up, I want to talk about the processing under the hood with the Google Pixel Watch 4. Now, even though the Google Pixel Watch 3 is an insanely fast watch, and I have no complaints about the speed and responsiveness or anything like that, they've upgraded the chip architecture on the Google Pixel Watch 4. Now it has machine learning powered performance, and it's got a dual powered chipset. There's a lot of big words. There's a Snapdragon W5 Gen 2 processor under the hood, and all of that's supposed to make the watch 25% faster while consuming 50% less battery life. And of course, that leads to the battery spec we just talked about. Now, of course, I got to go hands-on with the new Pixel Watch 4 and test it out and swipe through the menus and interface, and everything was extremely quick and responsive with pretty much no delay. But to be honest, it's kind of the same experience as the Pixel Watch 3 here, so I didn't seem like a huge performance boost. However, I do think that dual chip architecture with the AI chip also benefits some of the other features of the watch that we're going to talk about in this video. Okay, the next new feature I want to talk about is another big one. This is another first on the Google Pixel Watch 4 and smartwatches at large: satellite communication from the watch itself. The new Pixel Watch 4 is the first smartwatch in existence to have satellite communication built directly into the watch with no phone, no cell towers required. There is some fine print here. This will only apply to the LTE-enabled model of the Pixel Watch 4 and not the Wi-Fi version, and that's because they leverage that LTE chipset and antennas to utilize that satellite communication. Another fine print detail, this is only available available in the USA at launch, but they do have plans down the road to roll it out to more regions. Essentially, this is a very similar feature that we saw on phones from a year ago, like the Pixel phone and the iPhone already had this, but now we have it directly on a smartwatch, which I think is a huge advantage because your watch is strapped right to your wrist. This means if you're off on a hike and you're off grid out in the wilderness somewhere, and maybe you trip and you break your ankle or something, you'll be able to send a message for help even if you don't have your phone or an LTE signal on your watch. On top of that, this new satellite communication feature also ties into other safety features of the Pixel Watch, and that does include loss of pulse or fall detection. In those events, you can also utilize satellite communication. And for this to work, the process is pretty simple. If there's no connectivity detected on the watch, it will automatically resort to satellite communication. There's no option to enable this. You simply just have to be outside of range of Wi-Fi and LTE for this to turn on. The watch will prompt the user and ask for a simple survey with a selection of pre-written messages for things like health-related incidents or automotive accidents and all kinds of other things. Once that message is sent, your GPS location will also go along with it, and emergency dispatchers will have two-way communication with you directly through your watch. To establish the satellite communication, you will need to angle your wrist in the direction of one of the satellites, and there will be an on-screen dialogue that allows you to do this. In my opinion, this is one of the most exciting features of the Pixel Watch 4, and it's a technology I've wondered eventually if it would trickle down to watches, and we're seeing that now. Right now, this is only for SOS or emergency situations when you're in trouble or it's a life or death situation, but it's a good start. And I can imagine eventually when this tech matures a little bit more, we might be able to use it for recreational purposes like sharing your location for fun or live tracking or even just sending a text message. Next up, we've got the new user interface on the Pixel Watch 4 they're calling Material 3 Expressive. On this new user interface, everything is just a little bit more streamlined and polished and refined. Instead of text sort of falling off the edge of the screen, it often wraps around the screen and there's little animations that just make everything a little bit more pleasant to look at. The new user interface mainly affects the widgets as you scroll horizontally, but once you drop into the app menu as well, you'll notice some changes there as well. Another fun feature to the user interface is that when you select an accent color for your watch face, it'll actually adapt all of the colors in the user interface to sort of match and create a companion color to your watch face. Moving along to the next new feature, this one is called Bike Streaming, and they call it streaming, but it's a lot like screen mirroring for cycling. Keep in mind, this feature only applies to cycling or biking. So when you start a cycling activity on your watch, you can mirror that data over to your phone so you can look at it on a bigger screen. The idea here is if you're commuting to work or something like that, or you're cycling, recreationally, you can mount your phone on your handlebars, start the activity on your watch, and then see all the data on your handlebars, which is pretty cool. This feature does seem a little bit limited for now. Like there wasn't a whole bunch of data on the phone when it was streaming from the watch, but I could imagine a world where this does progress over time, and what I would love to see is a map view on the phone as well. So you could do some basic navigation while it's mounted on your handlebars while seeing your speed, your distance, and stuff like that. Another feature I'd like to see with this is support for indoor treadmill running, because I think that's another situation where streaming to your phone makes a lot of sense. I do it myself. Moving to the next new feature, which is also kind of a big one, dual frequency or dual band GPS on the Pixel Watch 4, and I've been waiting for this one. So when the Pixel Watch 3 was announced about a year ago, I was kind of shocked that it lacked dual band GPS, because if you look at the market and the landscape of most smartwatches and sport trackers these days, just about everything is dual band, even watches that cost like $250. This means that the Pixel Watch 4 supports two different frequencies when it's triangulating your position, so it has a better opportunity to get a more accurate position fix during your activities. And where this is most important is in challenging situations. For example, if you're in a dense forest or you're in a slot canyon and you only have a little sliver of the sky above you, or if you're in a big city with tall buildings, that can greatly affect your GPS accuracy. Unfortunately, I was not able to test this in the little hands-on meeting I had with Google, Google, so we'll have to wait and see how accurate it is and how it shakes out. Okay, transitioning to the next new feature, the heart rate sensor and the improved skin temperature sensor. So quickly, the heart rate sensor on the new Google Pixel Watch 4 is identical to the Pixel Watch 3. I don't think they changed the heart rate sensor at all. It looks nearly identical. However, the skin temperature sensor on the back of the watch was updated to be 18% or something more accurate compared to the previous model. I'm not sure why they focused on that to get more accurate, but I guess that's a good thing. But I guess the major update here is that they've updated the algorithms and used some sort of AI bits, and they claim that the sleep detection and sleep accuracy has gotten a big leap in improvement. Things like your overall duration of sleep, your sleep phases, like your REM sleep, light sleep, deep sleep, that should all be more accurate on the Pixel Watch 4 than it was on the Pixel Watch 3, and in turn should make all of your other metrics more accurate as well. Next up, another sports one. This is AI-powered activity recognition, and I thought they just threw the word AI in there, but it turns out this is actually kind of cool. So a lot of watches and wearables have automatic workout detection. So if you forget to start your run, it'll still record the run. Some are better than others in that department. And Google claims that this new algorithm has been improved and will detect more challenging and nuanced activities. For example, if you're playing tennis, it'll probably detect that. If you're going on a bike ride versus a run, it'll probably pick that up as well. These auto-detected workouts will also impact things like your cardio load and your readiness and your calories and things like that. And the really cool thing about this is that the watch will learn your habits and patterns over time. So if you regularly go to the gym at the same time every day, the watch will pick up on that. And then when you go to the gym and do that activity, it will have a better chance to make that activity more accurate because it knows what you're doing already since you do that every day. Number 13, I think, in terms of new features, AI Smart Replies. I thought this one was a little gimmicky, but then I demoed it at Google and I thought it was actually kind of cool. So the new Pixel Watch 4 does have some sort of language model on device, so it is contextually aware and it's very snappy and fast. The idea here is Google wants you to be able to reply to a text message or any message at all without having to type or talk to the watch and just do it very quickly. So this new AI Smart Reply will look at the message that's coming in and come up with a more natural response. This was demoed to me in person where a text message came in on the watch about a basketball game or something, and right away the watch prompted a whole bunch of smart replies that were really good. The message said something like, "How did the game go?" And the reply said something like, "It went great," with a little basketball emoji. Certainly a nice to have feature, and it makes interacting with people when you're out on the go a lot easier. Next up, we've got raise to wake for Gemini interactions. So previously on the Pixel Watch 3, you would have to say something like, "Hey Google." I don't want to say the words because everyone gets triggered when I say that. On the new Pixel Watch 4, you can simply raise your wrist and start speaking, and it will automatically know that's what you want to do your Gemini interaction, and it works pretty well. It seems very responsive and very natural. Nice to have. And the final new feature coming to the Google Pixel Watch 4, and I think a lot of Pixel Watches, but there's a lot of question marks about this feature, is a new AI-driven health coach. So this feature is going to land within the Fitbit app, and there will be a new AI personal training coach that's powered by Google Gemini. This new feature has a boatload of features within it, and I'm not going to go through everything that they talked about because I feel like it's continually changing in the background now, but it does look really interesting and I'm excited to try it out. The AI-driven health coach is going to provide personalized training plans, recovery plans, and even sleep plans with AI insights to explain what's going on with your sleep and recovery and activity. And on top of that, there's a really interesting Gemini chat box within the AI health coach that will allow you to talk to it and ask simple questions like, how can I improve my VO2 max? How can I get better sleep? Or you can say more advanced things like, I'm going on a trip or I'm on vacation. Can you adjust my workouts to have no equipment and only dumbbells or something like that? At this time, it's unclear whether or not this feature is going to fall behind the Fitbit paywall or be free for everybody or just in preview, but it will be coming later this fall, I believe. So it's something I'm really excited to test out and see how it works. Okay, that's the end of the new features for the Google Pixel Watch 4. At this point, if you own a Pixel Watch 3, you might be wondering, what features am I going to get? Have I been left in the dark? Is my watch trash now? The answer is no, I think. Google hasn't explained what features won't or will go back to the Pixel Watch 3, but what I do know is they're actually pretty good with software updates in the form of their Pixel drops that come down the road. I would have to assume that most software features should come back to the Pixel Watch 3, but then there's all of the hardware features that definitely won't come back, like the SOS over satellite, the Smart Replies, because I think it leverages the language model that's on the device. At the end of the day though, the new Pixel Watch 4 is probably one of the bigger leaps we've seen from Google in a number of years. I'm personally really excited about some of these features. Specifically, the satellite messaging feature that's a huge deal. The repairability, being able to fix your watch, that's another huge deal. And some of the other improvements are pretty awesome as well, like the improved battery life, the dual band GPS, and the brighter display. But at this point, I haven't been able to test it out, so you know what you gotta do is go down and hit that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up so you don't miss my full in-depth review when it does come out down the road, because I will be sure to get my hands on these right away and put them to the test. And with that, we've made it to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did enjoy it, check out the description down below for all of the links that I'll have, where you can head over and buy your very own Google Pixel Watch, and also make sure to check out the link over to ChaseToSummit.com, where you can buy a sweet hat like that for your next big adventure. All right, that's it for this one. I'm done. I'll see you next time. Bye.